What's the worst way a so has broken up with you? For me, by far the worst was my first GF. We were at my parents for Boxing Day lunch and she said that she was going over to see her mum. Her parents had recently split and this would be the first Christmas single. I said okay, and she left. I didn't hear anything from her for a few days and decided to call to see what was up. I found out that she had gone to her mum's, then to the pub and was not coming back anytime soon. I had already acquired her birthday presents, her birthday was in January, and suggested that she come and get them as I couldn't return them. In March the following year she turned up and told me what had occurred. She had gotten drunk with her mum and slept with some random guy. To top this off, she had told all her family that I beat her to justify her escape route. They still to this day believe that I did it. She threw you under the bus and you didn't even deserve any of it. I'm sorry. My eldest's father went out to get nappies and never came back. That was it. She was 2 weeks old. My brother's girlfriend broke up with him via text on Christmas while he was throwing up from chemotherapy. It's one of the only times I've seen him cry. Told me she had been cheating on me and wasn't going to stop and I had to break it off with her so that everyone would see me as the bad guy. After I got over the shock I did, and she destroyed my social circles. A girl I was dating came to visit me at college and proceeded to clog my toilet right before a party I was throwing. She then led me outside to tell me she didn't want to see me anymore, then showed up at the party later with a guy she just started seeing. The toilet was still clogged and I was sad and bewildered. I was a bit younger than I am now, and I saw my then so on Christmas Eve, and we had the best night ever. We had just exchanged Christmas presents and wouldn't see each other again until after Christmas Day. Little did I know, this was the last I'd see of her. I didn't hear from her at all. The internet was the only way we could keep in touch, and she never came online, never emailed me either. Come the 6th of January, I see her change her relationship status to single, and that was it. Done. It took me a while to get over that one, and I don't think I fully 100% recovered. Not that I am still in love with her or anything, but I think it impacted my entire love life after it. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, we started talking to each other, we had both grown a lot, and we were thinking about getting back together. She seemed to want it more than me, and something was telling me not to do it, and I didn't. She's getting married soon, and I am happy for her. I forgive her for what she did, but I don't know if I'll ever forget it. I am in a 4-year strong relationship now, and couldn't be happier. When people just leave without saying anything, it definitely fricks with you. People need closure. I had a friend do this to me, just platonic friends. Made plans and that day came and went without hearing from her. No idea WTF the deal was. Still bothers me. I've always said if you do that to someone outside extreme situations, you're a piece of crap. Told me she was moving states for to see a better doctor for a short period of time. She had medical issues so it was possible, and gonna stay with a friend for a couple of weeks. She took all her stuff that could fit in her friend's car, kissed me bye, and as soon as that car pulled out I never heard from her again. This was after agreeing we would do long distance until she came back. If you had to agree to do long distance for only 2 weeks, probably a good sign. When I was about 19, I had been dating this guy for a couple of months. One night, I decided to surprise him at his apartment. I parked and waited when another car pulled up a few spots away from me. My boyfriend and another girl stepped out of the car. He saw my car and walked over to me with her. He tried to introduce me to her, but I already knew her from one of my classes, because we lived in a small town. Then he said, "Yeah, it's just not working out between us." Then proceeded to go to his apartment with her. Being the other woman, how could you witness a guy treat his GF like that and think surely this is going to go well? Her friend texted me from her phone to break it off, along with some other petty insults. She decided to end the discussion with "you're skinny as frick. Go eat a cheeseburger." I could not stop laughing. I came home from work one day and all her stuff was gone and there was a note on the TV that read, "I just left your sorry butt." At least she left the TV. I was with a girl for just over 5 years. When we met, she was in a bad place. The guy she was with before me used to beat her up and stuff. Really abusive. So it was tough in the beginning because she had major trust issues, self-esteem issues, depression, and she self-harmed. But I went and fell in love with her, helped her get over a lot of the mental anguish she was going through, took her to and paid for her therapist every other week. We lived together for 4 of those years. On our 5th anniversary, I proposed. I was madly in love with her, and I assumed she was with me. She said yes. Then, a few months after that, I got off work a bit early, picked up her favorite fish and chips for dinner and headed home. Long story short, I walked in her fricking some other dude in our bed, both butt naked. She's riding the guy like a fricking cowboy. They didn't even fricking hear me come into the apartment. I'll skip the details, but within 2 days of that happening, she was gone. All her stuff out of the apartment. Half of my stuff gone from the apartment, including my cash stash that was several thousand. She took my TV, a bunch of my kitchen stuff. She kept the ring. She took my fricking dog, man. Took the dang dog, and I haven't seen or spoken to her since. That was just about 3 years ago now. Dude, frick that B. She's fricked up for taking your stuff, but you can get new stuff. But some B took my dog. Heck no, I'm going after her. Also, I'm sorry you went through all of that after being with her for 5 years and being there for her. It sounds like you were a good boyfriend and I hope you find someone deserving of that. I was waiting by the phone for him to say he was on his way to pick me up for our Friday date night. Phone rang and he dumped me instead. She left me for a dude that had like 5 children with 3 different women and had abandoned them all. He told her she would be different, and she believed him. Methinks you dodged a bullet. I was about to drive home for spring break and I'll see her in 6 hours. Hit the normal I can't wait to see you love you text. I was home for an hour and she came over and dumped me out of nowhere. Can't wait to see you so I can get this crap over with and dump you. So sweet. She got a scholarship to study in England while I stayed in the USA. Then came a letter saying that she'd fallen in love with a young professor there and was moving in with him. PFFT, I call that bulls. Probably chilling with some broke ass students, lol. Ex-fiance texted me at work to let me know she was cheating on me again. Oh, and this is over. Had been together for nearly 4 years. Should have left the first time she cheated, or maybe the second, third, or fourth time. I was not the smartest in my early 20s. Good riddance. B. I was not the smartest in my early 20s. Yeah, that's kinda how they work. She was supposed to come to my brother's wedding with me and then spend Thanksgiving with my family. That day before we were supposed to leave, I called to find out when I should pick her up and she casually informed me that she was going to her friend's house for Thanksgiving, acting as though we had never even made plans. So that was that. You know LA traffic? How the city's slow? She made me drive across town on the 405 because she thought it would be more humane to break up with me face to face. Sorry, but I would have preferred a text, and the last thing LA needs is yet one more car smogging it up. Geez, I admire the sentiment, but in that case, she should have driven to you. Looking for her at a party. At some point I lost her and went hunting cause I wanted to leave. Walked into a spare bedroom and there she was kneeled down going to town on another guy. She looked at me and said frick. Yeah, we aren't working anymore, and that was that. I left. Never spoke to her again. First serious girlfriend. Took my virginity. Called her one day after she hadn't been responding much. Guy answered telling me she never loved me as I heard her laughing in the background. At least she had the gall to get on the phone, still giggling, to tell me what he was saying was true. It ruined me. Holy crap dude, what a freaking B. Hope everything is better now. Cheated and didn't have the balls to tell me. Had to hear it from a friend of mine. Called him and asked to explain, but he was somewhere with that girl he cheated with. So I told him we were over. Next day he's at my door, crying his eyes out because he's sorry. Decided I wasn't going to give him another chance. He was with that girl just yesterday because that was more important. Fast forward a few months. We're still friends. Same group of friends. I get into a big fight with him. He told me he hopes I get cancer. My grandma died a year before that from cancer. I ended the conversation because my mom came in to tell me my grandpa just died. Told him to stop calling because of this. He still tried to call me the entire night. At that point I just blocked him. Never spoke to him again. Fun times. Broke up with me. Came back to me. Broke up with me again. Came back to me again, and now she is gone again. Apparently it's not me, it's her. I think that is some Hollywood bulls though. I think Hollywood might have stolen it from reality. Okay, I was planning a surprise trip to Orlando for myself and Victoria. She texts me 2 weeks before I come back home from school and dumps me. Said that since I went away to college I started drinking and I wasn't the same guy anymore. I would go to parties Friday nights and end up sending her cute little text saying she is an amazing GF. So yeah, frick me right. Left me shaken to say the least. Good thing this was the week of finals too. Find out 2 days later that she was already in a new relationship. I asked her if she dumped me for him and if she was cheating on me. She said no. A few months later I was sitting in my apartment, just after a party with my roommates. I get the idea that I should text her. I ask her if she dumped me for him and if she was cheating on me, and this time she said yes. So due to drunk logic I experienced this stupid pain twice with the same girl. Told me I was like a bowl of pierogies sitting on the table. You're full and don't want any, but you eat them anyway because they are there. Or pierogies are one of the best things in the world and you'd have to be crazy to not like or get sick of them. A few days after we got together his baby mama found out he was dating again and banned him from seeing his kid. Now I usually would be hesitant about dating a divorced guy with a baby, but I had known him since middle school and we actually dated a little in high school, so I felt okay about it. This caused a ton of tension between us, but I tried to understand. A month into our relationship and around Christmas time, he started to avoid me, would never text me back after 8 PM, claiming to have fallen asleep, stopped inviting me to his apartment, asked for his key back, would constantly text his ex when he was with me. Just had all these excuses and I began to have a crap ton of anxiety for it. I would list all the crappy things that happened, but this story is getting too long already. A week before he dumped me, I got a message from a dude I had dated before my now ex. He wanted to meet up again, but I declined because I was seeing someone and he understood, so we left it at. A week after New Year's I got a text from him while I was at work saying we needed to talk. By then I kind of figured what was going on. So I asked him, "We're breaking up, aren't we?" He didn't text me back until 4 in the morning and all he said was, I was livid. I called him out demanding him to tell me why, when a few days before we had talked and he had promised me we were okay. He then said he would stop by at my place after work so we could fully talk about it. He never showed up and I never heard from him again. 2 weeks after the breakup, I decided to hit up the guy that messaged me. We ended up going to see The Force Awakens, and after a month of him convincing me to date him again, I said yes. We've been happily together ever since and I'm the happiest I've ever been with someone. Few months into the RS and I felt it plateauing. He's not really into it, can't really be bothered to do anything beyond the realm of convenience, etc. I thought it was up to me to do something, you know, pull a Hail Mary with a huge gesture of commitment, yada yada. So I was planning this massively cringe pseudo speech thing about truly being in each other's lives and an elaborate college graduation celebration getaway thing. Oh god. While all this planning was happening, we got into an argument about something stupid, probably spiraled out of control partially due to my anxiety about the plans, and it turned out he never had any feelings for me ever since we met. This all happened via text. It didn't end there either. For some reason I was still convinced it was a matter of effort and got back together with him. It lasted a grand 12 hours before I was dumped again via text, told to hang on while he rethought the whole thing, and again via text a month later when he finally decided I wasn't worth it anyway. I think I need a few shots just dealing with the idea that this actually happened. Back in the very early days of social media, before even MySpace was a thing, I met my first boyfriend online. One day I noticed we were no longer listed as friends on that site. It turns out he decided to break up. That must rank even lower than dumped by SMS. I think I have two. The first one, his other girlfriend contacted me because she wanted to make sure I knew of her presence. I technically broke up with him, but it was still a crappy way to find out that he was cheating on me. I wish he had just broken up with me and then got into a relationship with that girl. But he was pretty upset that I cut him out of my life and spent years trying to win me back. Second one, it was the days of MySpace. He sent me a MySpace message Sunday night, with school the next day. Luckily I had gotten on and seen it. I didn't check it constantly. Someone asked him what he would have done had I not seen it yet, and he said he would have just kept pretending we were in a relationship until I got back on MySpace. Reverse. I wanted to be the one to do the breaking up. Waited outside her dorm house and tried calling her to meet me outside. She never answered my 50+ calls. So I said frick this, left and never looked back. Turns out she was taking a dump and had left her phone in bed. If you're calling someone 50 times in the span of a crap taking, you should do some real thinking before dating again. After I told her I didn't want to date her anymore, she threw a few things at me. She had been trying to get me to move out of my nice living situation because she just wanted me to live alone. Then, she called all my friends and family she had numbers for and told them I had STDs. I don't. But she was trying to destroy my life. She also committed fraud identity theft when she transferred our joint cell phone into solely her name and replaced it with a dummy phone on my plan. So, now, I had two phones to pay for, one of which was fake. She was not successful. First real girlfriend in senior year of high school. Her parents thought she was Miss Innocent but was a freak in the sheets. So like every high school relationship we had a fight. So I went for a boys night and she went for a girls night. Except her girls night was with a guy whom I didn't trust but was just a friend. I wake up to her calling me, thinking she wants to talk. It's her getting ploed by that one friend. So I did what I thought was the right thing and hit record on my Motorola Razr. I was crushed, but not as crushed as her parents were that morning when I played it for them. Oh well. In Navy boot camp, during a telephone call where she tells you she fell for her best friend's ex, who we double dated with before. Long distance girlfriend in college. Came home from school and rushed to get her a Christmas present since the small town in went to school and didn't have any store but Walmart. Christmas comes and she didn't have time to get me anything. She was so happy to take my gift. Okay, no problem. New Year's comes and she says she's not feeling well and is going to stay home and go to bed early. I stayed in because everyone already bought tickets to night parties. At around midnight I get a mass text from her saying Happy New Year to all her friends and how blessed she is. Her friend that I was kinda friends with asked me why I wasn't at the party with her. Took the hint and after a month of not communicating with her she asked if we are broken up. We lived together for a year and a half. I had to move back to my country because my visa expired. She got married 2 months after I went home. IDK if this is so bad. But I feel horrible to this day. I was the breakupper. We, 40 years old at the time, had a standing unit date every Tuesday. I would meet him at his house, 1/2 hour away from where I lived, and on his lunch break, he'd come home, in more ways than one. So, a couple of weeks went by that didn't happen. We both had kids and a busy schedule. During that time, I realized a guy I knew, IDK, I just liked him a whole heck of a lot better. I had an epiphany that even though I wasn't involved with the other guy, it was a sure sign that liking someone better than my BF was possible. I had to break up with my BF. I had to do it in person, out of respect. So once a Tuesday worked out for us. I planned to go to his house. I was there when he walked in. He hugged me. He was already hard. I put my hands around his face. I told him I was sorry. I just said, I have to end our relationship. It's just not fitting me and who I am and where I'm at in life right now. There's nothing you can do. Goodbye. And I drove the 1/2 hour home knowing I made the right decision. But I just can't imagine going home for a lunch break nooner and getting dumped instead. I still feel bad for the guy. I mean, at least it was in person and you were honest about it. Leaving out the details about the other guy was probably smart. If I was in his shoes, it would have killed me even more. She made me breakfast after I crashed at her pad. She told me she wanted to see other people. I was fine with that. You can't make someone love you if it's over. You shut up and move on. I was thinking to myself, give me a 2-week notice at least. I kind of wasted a little less than a year with you. Then I realized how crappy that would be if you were told by dating HR you're going to be single. Sat there dumbfounded thinking about, would a 2-week notice be feasible or ethical? Would there be a temp agency for that thing? Then I realized that is what a bar is for, while tuning in and out about how she wants to be single. I am sitting here trying to be as stoic as possible, but I was devastated. I was with her for 11 months. Things are going great, then out of nowhere you get blindsided and you're just sitting there with a crap-eating grin putting on your best I am not sad face, but you can see that squint of sadness. I finished my bacon and eggs, drove to the liquor store, bought a 3 tall can pack of T-Cats and some smokes, had a joint, watched Commando, and was going to start Goodfellas. Pretty much anything I can do to get over her. I run out of my 3-pack. I take a walk to the store. I see her at the liquor store with a new guy. Turns out she was seeing a person we mutually knew. He wasn't friends, but I will say hi if we're at a party, plus he knew some friends from college. Since I was studying computer science at the time, I walked home with my Modelo in hand thinking, crap, she's seeing someone who lives relatively close to me and he knows some close friends. It wasn't the breakup that hurt, it was more of her seeing a person who lives a couple blocks down and knew some of my friends, so running into her wasn't hard. I could be at a party or some local venue I frequent and guess who's there? The running into them at parties suck. The fact she wasted 5 minutes of my life telling me she wants to be single and I see her at the liquor store with a new guy was BS. All I wanted was a beer. I went with her on a sorority date party that happened to be on a boat. She waited until what she thought was the end of the trip and took me outside and ended things. Except that she was wrong and we had another couple hours on the boat. So I had to put on a good face and try my best not to be awkward while everyone else was with their dates. The worst part was that she had known before we ever got on the boat that she was going to end it. This wasn't the most serious relationship, but still, don't break up with someone on a boat. My young and naive self decided to propose to my girlfriend and best friend of 3 years, whom we recently found out was pregnant. A measly 2 days after I give her this beautiful ring, she miscarried, and the day after that, she gives my ring back and never talked to me again. After that, I was in one of the darkest places I'd ever been in my life, unsure of when things would get better, or if they ever would. That was 7 years ago, and I'm well past that, but I've never forgotten. We actually bumped into each other at Walmart the other day, and it was interesting to say the least. Her eyes told me she had about 1,000 things to say to me. I can only imagine what mine said, but we passed each other without a word. I kinda wished I'd said something tbh. My girlfriend in high school had to move to Hawaii because her dad got a teaching job there. I saved up money my entire senior year by washing dishes so I could move to Hawaii to be with her. 3 months after I arrived, she broke up with me on my birthday at a Starbucks. Aloha. Got broken up with on my 21st birthday. I had cancelled plans of going out of town with my parents to a casino town, not Las Vegas. I think it was Alabama, so that we could spend my birthday together getting drunk and fricking for a week straight while my parents were gone. Instead, I spent the week lonely and crying. We were together for 9 months and we were both young and immature. We mutually agreed it wouldn't work out, but had a falling out afterwards. 4 years passed, then I saw this comment from a Reddit username that looked vaguely familiar. He uses the same username for every website and other comments confirmed it was him, with a similar backstory to our relationship, except he lied about everything. Now I downvote everything he posts, comments for petty revenge that won't hurt anyone except his karma. My sister is coming over after work to grab some of her things. Will you leave your key under the mat for her? Me. Sure. Her. Changes locks and sends me an offline message on AIM about how it was over. etc. Things were going great. Then one day she just refused a kiss and said we need to talk. Did the deed, and when I asked why she said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Which was crazy because 2 days earlier we'd had a long talk about our future and she spent most of it talking about how happy she was to be with me and how much she was in love with me, and she wanted to have babies with me and all that. It never sat right with me. It just seemed like a lie. Come to find out 2 years later that she was madly in love with me the whole time, but I had been stagnating with joblessness and she couldn't see a bright future with me. We've both moved on since, but it fricked me up for 2 years. I live in France. She was in the US at the time, said come visit me, we'll have some fun, and dumped me when I arrived. 18 hours of flight, $1,000 and an amazing I'm sorry, I just don't feel it anymore. Not so, but I had an ex who pulled a secret move in. She also believed that a breakup had to be mutual, not just me saying get the frick out of my apartment, we're done. So, I had her get dressed up for a special date, took her out to a few activities I knew she loved, took her to the nicest restaurant in the area, and then took her to her parents' house. She thought I was proposing to her. She walked inside and saw all of her stuff in there and realized what was really going on as I told her I never want to frickin' see her again. I'd had my buddies gather her stuff up while we were out and do the move for me. Those are some good friends. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.